Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. The Fabio Wardley fight against Nathan Gorman. Wardley wins by stoppage, right? The corner of Gorman throws in the towel has just finished. In fact, they're about to interview Wardley on the zone right now, right? Let me just say, and by getting the stoppage, the bet structure held. Right? Wardley by stoppage happened. It happened early. You got the under, you got Wardley by stoppage. The pre-fight video is still up. I also had money on Gorman simply to win. I thought this was going to be a competitive fight. But let's just make the case here, and it's an unpopular case, as to why Gorman was done a disservice by his corner. The towel should not have been thrown in. Right? Don't get me wrong. He's losing the fight. Knockdowns count in boxing. He's losing the fight. I'm not saying otherwise. But understand, Gorman comes out and wins the first round. His jab has a presence. Right? Wardley has no answers for the jab, by the way. Right? I didn't see the adjustment that neutralized Gorman's jab other than offense. Getting Gorman on his back foot. Gorman foolishly going over by the ropes. Let me point out, too, that Gorman's also throwing a right uppercut that's landing in the first round. So here you have a 3-round fight where Gorman comes out and wins a round. In other words, Gorman shows you that he can outbox Wardley when there are no knockdowns. Now, understand, Wardley has a gash on his nose. It's bleeding. Right? It's bleeding. Now, all I can say is, the way the cut looks, that cut could have gotten worse. Right? Also, the fighter himself could panic. The blood looked worse than it was. A judge could look at Wardley and say, wow, he's taking some shots. These jabs are effective. But most importantly, Wardley has no experience in the later rounds. This fight was for the British heavyweight title, right? It was slated to go several rounds, and Wardley has no experience in the later rounds. So here you have Wardley and Gorman fighting at an unnatural pace that they can't sustain for 12 rounds. They just can't, right? You have Wardley really throwing a lot of punches because he has Gorman hurt, because Gorman hits the canvas multiple times, right? You have Wardley overextending himself. You also have Gorman getting off the canvas. He's not staggering around the ring. He's uncut. It doesn't look to me like he looks like he can't continue, right? The referee talks to him. The referee asks him to take steps toward him. Gorman does. In other words, don't get me wrong, Gorman's been dropped, but Gorman is lucid enough to get the benefit of the doubt, right? The ref wasn't going to stop the fight. Someone in the corner panicked. Boxing's a violent sport, folks. There are going to be nights where your fighter comes out, gets hit, doesn't quite have his wits about him for a few rounds. But make no mistake, Wardley didn't look comfortable against Gorman. Didn't look like he could outbox Gorman. This is more of a big punch fight. Also, the big punches, they're all right hands. In other words, Gorman, somewhere along the fight, either the fighter or his corner should have said to him, hey, roll away from the right hand, right? Stay off the ropes. If you're on the ropes, just key on his right hand. Not that his left doesn't have pop, but Wardley's right hand is the big hand, right? So someone panicked. Understand, I didn't think Gorman was in great danger of being badly hurt. The last knockdown looked more like Gorman being pinned against the ropes, getting hit around the nose area with a decent shot and having nowhere to go, being off balance. Right? This was not Thomas Hearns getting off the canvas against Marvin Hagler and you're fearing for his life. There's never that moment, in my opinion, in this fight. So given the stakes involved, British heavyweight title, given the fact that Gorman won the first round, and given the fact that Wardley has no experience in the later rounds, right? His last few fights have all been very quick stoppages. Very quick stoppages. This is a knockout puncher. Right? Given that there is a chance that Wardley, especially at this pace, may have been completely gassed by the second half of the fight. Right? May have actually started to be completely outboxed, as he seemed to me to be at portions of the first round. Right? Given Wardley's lack of late round experience and the fact that the fight almost certainly was going to slow down in pace, I'm shocked, as unpopular as this view is, I'm shocked that Gorman's corner threw in the towel. I know many people are going to read post-fight reports and they're going to hear that Gorman was down a few times. Right? It happens. What I want people to do is to go back in history and look at I believe his name was Yvon Durrell, against the great Archie Moore. Right, folks? Archie Moore hits the canvas more than Gorman does here. Archie Moore eventually comes back and wins that fight. Right? Understand, sometimes this happens in boxing. Later today, Jose Zepeda is facing Regis Prograis. Understand, Zepeda was down twice. Looked bad. No slips. Got hit against Ivan Baranchyk. Came back and won that fight by stoppage. Right? Situations like this are going to happen. Now, Gorman's down multiple times here. Okay, fair enough. Right? Gorman still lucid to me. Gorman, after he gets off the canvas the last time, talks with the ref, walks to the ref. He's still coordinated. More importantly, he has a jab that Wardley hasn't solved. Right? I'm surprised by the towel. I'm surprised by the early stoppage. Don't get me wrong. Right? We won a portion of the bet, and I'm not giving the casino its money back. But someone panicked in the corner. Right? This early stoppage shouldn't have happened. Understand, Gorman was losing the fight, but it was still early. There were still a lot of rounds to go. The fight was fought at a fever pitch. Gorman had time to come back. Other fighters, Zepeda, Marquez against Manny Pacquiao, you remember that first fight? Archie Moore, other fighters have done just that. This was premature. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Also, watch out for Wardley. Right? Clearly, his right hand has an explosive punch. Right? But you wonder, if an opponent can find a way to avoid that right hand, if an opponent can set up the jab like Gorman did in the first round here, and stay off the ropes, and turn the fight into a boxing match. Not only that, take the fight into the later rounds where Wardley hasn't been. You wonder what would happen then. You also wonder what would happen if Wardley's in against a southpaw, let's say Zhang Jili, who has a big punch. So it's big punch against big punch, because understand, Wardley's not trying to win the fight on his back foot. He's going to enter the pocket. He's going to want to trade in this heavyweight division with punchers like AJ, right? Deontay Wilder, Zhang Jili. Is that a good idea? Let me hear from you. I look forward to your comments. Thanks for stopping by.